It's So Adult Fitness in Long Beach, talking today about doing body weight exercise. We spent a lot of time talking about which band to use for which exercise, or different kinds of bands to have a separate program from another program that you've been doing. But the reality is, especially now when we're all in lockdown mode, many of you may not have a band. No problem. You have one of the greatest exercise tools ever invented, your own body. What's important to know is that there are only a few basic exercises. They're the most important exercises to do. Other exercises are known as auxiliary exercises. That's where you're still exercising muscles and connective tissue, but they're not really essential exercises, because with the basic exercises, you're working those muscles also. And I'll explain as we get into the individual exercises. So this is a full body routine, just focusing on the main exercises to know and to do. I'm going to break it up into two parts. The first has the big three. Big three meaning also the big muscles. Those are the most important muscles to exercise. And that's going to be the thighs, including the gluteus medius. Notice everyone says glutes, plural, but they think gluteus maximus. The glute max is just one of the three gluteal muscles. That's the big muscle back here, but then you also have the gluteus medius and the gluteus minimus, which are more associated with the hips. So it'll be basically lower body, which is going to be your thighs. And then upper body will be the chest and the back. Now you can only exercise your chest, for example, by pushing. You can push upward, not up, that would be a shoulder exercise, upward, straight out, downward. You can push in, but you can only exercise your chest by pushing, not by pulling. Similarly, you can only exercise your back by pulling. You can pull down like you have a lat bar on a machine in the gym, or you're doing rows, either a straight row, rowing down, rowing up. Now, anytime you exercise your chest by pushing, the chest is the target muscle, but you're also giving lots of work to the front of the shoulder and the back of the arms, the anterior deltoid and the triceps brachii, or the triceps. Anytime you exercise your back by pulling down, pulling straight back, your target muscle, of course, is your back. But you're also exercising the biceps. You're also exercising the forearms. Other muscles come into play which help stabilize your body. So let's talk first about chest exercise. You don't have any equipment. You can get down on the floor and do push-ups, and you can do a modified push-up where rather than being on your toes and your hands with your body straight, what's called a 4-point push-up. If you don't have the upper body strength for doing that, you can be on your knees and do a push-up, but it's just as easy to do a wall push-up, and that's how we would do it. Now, I'm going to demonstrate it without the wall so you can see the movement, and then I'll turn around and actually do it against the door. So what you're going to do is you're just going to put your hands against the wall, and then lean in and push away. Lean in and push away. So it's just like doing a push-up, but if you were sitting on a chest press machine, be still the same thing. If you're lying flat on your back with a barbell, it'd be the same as doing a bench press. So again, against the wall, lean in, push out. In, push out, and now it looks like this. Put your hands right about shoulder high You can put it a little lower if it's more comfortable. I wouldn't go higher. It'll be uncomfortable on your shoulder. I like to keep my feet parallel rather than split. Come all the way in. You try to make your nose touch the wall and push out. Remember to breathe. 10 is good. Next, let's do squats, body weight squats. You have the weight of your arms that can contribute. So I like to do 3 sets of 10. I would do 3 sets of 10 also, by the way, on the wall push-ups. Let me explain this. We looked at this briefly yesterday. So this is segmental body weight. Each of your arms represents about 5% of the weight of your body. Why that's important, the higher you raise your arms, the more difficult the exercise is. So if you want to do what are called progressions, root word progress, you want to do progressions with squats, you would do it like this. Let's do the first set. Put your hands on your hips. Keep your chin up. Remember, I'll always coach chin up because when your chin is down, there's a tendency to round your spine, and that takes you out of spinal alignment. When your chin's up, it raises your chest, and that supports spinal alignment. So let's do 10 like this. Hands on your hips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Notice I'm keeping my knees behind my toes. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wind knees behind the toes. The closer your knees get to your toes, the more you're going to experience what's called bone shear in the knees. It is very uncomfortable, especially if you have any arthritis in your knees. And the way that you control where your knees are relative to your toes is just by doing what's called hinging your hips. So if you keep your body like this and come down, your knees are going to be too far forward. If you stick your butt out, just like if you were to sit in a chair, you wouldn't come straight down. You'd kind of target your butt towards the chair. So that's what you want to do, and you'll keep your knees behind your toes. All right, so we did 10 with our hands on the hips. You can do this in a circuit where you do a set of wall squats, a set of squats, and then repeat and repeat and repeat until you've done 3 sets. Or you can do a set of squats like that. Rest for a moment. And now let's have a progression. Let's move our arms up here. Again, the higher your arms, the more the extra weight of your arms adds intensity to the exercise. So kind of cross your hands at your shoulders. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. The third progression, we're going to put our fingers behind our ears and then spread your elbows. Often in the gym, you'll see people on the floor doing sit-ups or crunches, and they'll interlace their fingers and put them behind their head. Please don't do that. What happens is, as you start fatiguing, let's say you're going to do, let's stick with 10, that you're going to do 10 crunches or 10 sit-ups. The first few aren't going to feel that hard. But if that's what you can do is 10, you can't do, let's say, 15 or 25, pick a higher number. If 10 is what you can do, by the time you start getting up near 6 and 7, you're already starting to fatigue. And without realizing it, if your fingers are interlaced, you're going to be pulling on the back of your head, trying to come up, and you're inviting a neck strain. No guarantee you'll strain your neck, but why risk it? If you put your fingers behind your ears, you get the exact same advantage of having your arms up high, but without risking a neck strain. So again, fingers behind the ears, bring your elbows out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good, you're doing good. Okay, back. Let's use a chair. What you want is a chair that has arms. We'll sit in the chair. Now, ideally, your chair would have longer arms, so your hands would be here. Mine doesn't, so I'll just compensate by moving farther back. Put your hands here. Bring your feet in a little closer so you've got an efficient way for shifting your body weight as you're coming up. Okay. Now don't just stand, that just makes it a squat. What you want to do is push down with your arms while leaning forward, and that engages your back muscles. 1, 2, 3. Remember, you're pushing with your arms, you're not just holding on while you're doing squats. By the way, you can also do squats like that, chair squats. They're affectionately known in my world as potty squats. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. So I'm going to do 3 sets of each exercise. The wall push-ups, the squats, here, here, and here, and the back extensions from the chair. So those are the big 3. Let me show you just briefly secondary exercises or auxiliary exercises that you can do. These will be similar to some of the isometric exercises that we looked at in an earlier video. Remember, an isometric exercise is when we apply an equal amount of force. So it's nothing moves, but you're creating a very strong muscle contraction. That's isometric. Isotonic is exactly the opposite, where there would be movement. So let's come back to the lower body. You've all seen in the gym the leg extension machine. When you're doing squats, by the way, that's the best lower body exercise you can do. It's better than being on a leg press machine, and it's certainly better than being on a leg extension machine. Leg extension is what's called an open chain or open kinetic chain exercise, and only involves one joint. Squats are a compound exercise. It involves the ankles, knees, hips, also maintaining your posture. So that's why these are auxiliary exercises, not essential to do, but good to do nonetheless. So if you remember, for the isometrics, one was where you put one ankle on top of the other and you push up with as much force as you can while resisting the top leg with equal force. That's isometric. To do it isotonic, we'll now have the top leg providing resistance for the lower leg, but not trying to defeat it. So now we'll be coming up. So you'll still be pushing down with the top leg against the bottom leg, but you're going to let the bottom leg win the contest. 10. Let's reverse it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, come back up top. Before we go up top, the hamstrings, the back of the thighs. Just like when we did the isometrics, the top leg is now going to push down. With isometrics, the bottom leg resisted equally so that nothing moved. Now we're going to use the bottom leg just to provide resistance, but not trying to defeat the top leg. So it's going to be like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. Reverse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Upper body. If you recall with isometrics, for the biceps, the front of the upper arm, we put one hand on top with the other hand. We put as much force as we could, pushing up, while equal amount of force resisting. So that was like this. To do isotonic, just like we did with the legs. Start down here. This is providing resistance, but not enough resistance to actually defeat bringing your hand up, just making it more difficult. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Triceps, the back of the upper arm. And with isometrics, we're pushing down as hard as we could while resisting with equal force so nothing moved. Now we want movement. So again, this is providing resistance, but not so much that it's going to defeat being able to push down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Shoulders. Before, we would hold, push as hard as we can while resisting. Now we're going to resist, but we're going to let the pushing arm still win. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Last one. Let's do the abdominals. Isometrics. You'll draw your abdominals. You'll draw your stomach muscles in as tight as you can. We always say, try to make your stomach muscles, your abdominals, touch your backbone. Your belly button, touch your backbone. Now what we want to do is do the same thing, but we want to crunch. Squeeze in as tight as you can. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Good. That's your full body workout using just your own body for resistance. Hope you enjoyed it. My time's up. I thank you for yours.